At the spring banquet, I saved the crown prince from drowning and caught the empress's eye, becoming the crown princess consort-to-be. Unexpectedly, the crown prince favored my younger half-sister instead. To propel her to the throne, he set a fire that burned me to death. Reborn back to that year's spring banquet, the crown prince fell into the water again. While cracking melon seeds, I exchanged flirtatious glances with the handsome prince. The crown prince floundered in the water for a while. Watching me and the prince flirting, he closed his eyes, no longer wanting to live. In the middle of the night, feverish and coughing, he climbed into my house, clenching his fists as he demanded, "Why didn't you save me today?" At 16, I first met Xiao Jingqing at the spring banquet. Tall and graceful, with the bearing of a dragon and the poise of a phoenix, every flattering adjective in the world could be heaped upon him without exaggeration. Along the lakeshore in spring, patches of ice lingered, ready to send one slipping at the slightest misstep. Sitting by the water with Miss Bai, we were fiercely arguing whose jewelry was more beautiful when suddenly, plop! Both of us were drenched in a spray of water. Simultaneously, shrieks pierced our eardrums, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. "Someone, help! The prince has fallen in." The spring chill was still biting. Even Xiao Jingqing's personal guards hesitated before entering the water. I pointed at the crown prince flailing in the water and asked Miss Bai, "Dare you jump?" She gasped in shock. "You're challenging me to this?" "I can swim." "I dare," I declared triumphantly, plunging into the water. Both the crown prince and I were pulled out, flopped onto the ground like two flatcakes by the palace attendants. Through my dazed haze, I saw Her Majesty the Empress smiling at me. 2 days later, my life-saving act for Xiao Jingqing made me the crown prince's betrothed. The empress even rewarded me with several chests of jewelry. My father was just a minor official, yet I suddenly became the crown prince's betrothed, a status that made the capital's women seethe with envy. Especially Miss Bai, who always loved competing with me. She was so furious she couldn't eat for days. During the betrothal period, I never once saw Xiao Jingqing. After endless waiting, just as the wedding approached, my courtyard was set ablaze. My usually quiet younger half-sister shoved me into the flames, clutching Xiao Jingqing's personal jade pendant and declaring, "Jingqing and I pledged our lives to each other long ago. If not for you, I should be the one marrying him. But it doesn't matter. Jingqing said as long as you're dead, he can still marry me. Sister, rest easy. Brother Jingqing and I will cherish each other for 100 years. Her voice grew fainter and fainter. I collapsed in the thick smoke, unable to hear anything more. When I awoke, I was in a carriage bound for the spring festival banquet. I thought long and hard. Since I'd been given a second chance at life, I had to stay far away from Xiao Jingqing. I couldn't repeat the mistakes of my past life. So I lunged forward, grabbed the coachman, and shook him violently, demanding he stop immediately. "Stop! I'm not going! Take me home!" The coachman jumped in fright, and the horses, startled, bolted wildly down the street. Just as they were about to plow into the people lining the road, someone suddenly leaped from a carriage at the next intersection and stood before the frightened horses. A gentle breeze swept by, and the horses instantly calmed. I smoothed my disheveled hair and looked ahead. There stood a man clad in a black robe embroidered with gold. His bearing was noble, his face young and handsome, yet his hair was silver white, simply bound with a silk ribbon. He resembled both an immortal and a ghostly apparition. Had I known such a man existed in this world, why did I fixate solely on Xiao Jingqing in my past life? I leaped down from the carriage, curtsied coyly in the proper maiden's bow, and asked, "Thank you, sir. May I inquire about your honorable name?" He returned the curtsy, "I am Ning Wudao." Hearing this, Bao Chan, the maid accompanying me, tugged at my sleeve and kept winking at me. She must have an eye disease. I pushed her aside, grabbed Ning Wudao's sleeve, and cooed, "Mr. Ning, you saved my life. It would be utterly unreasonable if I didn't offer myself in return. Just set a date, and I'll pack my things and move into your residence." He paused. "There's no need. It was merely a small favor. A small favor deserves a lifetime of devotion." I fluttered my eyelashes, signaling my resolve. Ning Wudao gazed at me as a sudden breeze stirred his silver hair. "Young lady, do you know who I am?" I shook my head. "It doesn't matter. This is about repaying a debt, no need for talk of social standing. He gazed into my eyes, then suddenly smiled. His naturally cool demeanor softened with that smile, radiating warmth that seemed to melt ice and snow. The more I looked at him, the more pleased I became. Leaning closer, I asked, "Why haven't you asked my name?" "HM? My name is Shinjiayan." I tugged at his sleeve, smiling as I asked, "Where do you live? Shall we go home?" He glanced at the sun and said, "Today I've been invited by Her Majesty the Empress to admire spring at Mulang Lake." What a coincidence! I'm going there too. Let's go together, let's go together. Young Master Ning, I'll ride in your carriage. Saying this, I half dragged, half pulled him into his carriage. Miss! Bao Chan called out to me several times, stamping her feet in frustration. Finally, she jumped onto the carriage and instructed the driver to follow. Arriving at Mulan Lake, I excitedly leaped off the carriage. My feet barely touched the ground when I heard Baiyuju's voice. "Shinjiayan, why are you so late today?" She swayed her hips as she approached, adjusting the hair ornament atop her head. "This pair of velvet butterfly ornaments I'm wearing today, they're from Persia." I clapped enthusiastically. "Beautiful! Absolutely stunning! In all of the capital, only you could possibly match these butterflies." It was just like this in my past life. We'd compare hair ornaments, then dresses, then how many bowls of rice our fathers could polish off in one sitting. But really, what's the point of all this comparing? Why must we insist on declaring a winner? Baiyuju froze when she saw me clapping and praising her, staring at me strangely. "Shinjiayan, have you lost your mind?" "Huh? What's that supposed to mean? I rarely compliment you, and now you're scolding me? This." She couldn't make sense of it either, fuming, "You never say anything nice. You must be mocking me." Just then, Ning Wudao stepped out of the carriage. Baiyuju glanced over, her body stiffening. She hurriedly curtsied, "Your Highness, the third prince, may you have a peaceful day." "Third prince?" I looked at Ning Wudao, utterly baffled. He glanced at me but said nothing, merely raising his hand slightly toward Baiyuju, "Rise." Then he turned his gaze toward Mulan Lake. "The crown prince has arrived." We followed his gaze. A pleasure boat slowly docked at the lakeside, and several figures emerged from the cabin. I spotted Xiao Jingqing immediately. His figure was tall and straight, his bearing impeccable. I could never forget him. After standing at the bow for a moment, he turned his head and actually looked in our direction. I felt a flicker of confusion. In my past life, had he looked at me before falling into the water? Then, suddenly recalling Baiyuju had just addressed Ning Wudao as the third prince, I exhaled in relief. Xiao Jingqing must have been looking at Ning Wudao. His head of silver hair was indeed quite striking. The surrounding crowd surged forward, quickly obscuring Xiao Jingqing and the Empress from view. I turned to Ning Wudao and smiled. "So you're a prince after all. That's good. I was worried you might be too poor, and my father wouldn't approve." Baiyuju's face paled. She glared at me. "Shinjiayan, how dare you be so rude?" "It's fine." Ning Wudao looked at me. "You needn't be so formal in my presence." Just as I expected, the man I chose knows how to protect me. Rarely did I get the upper hand over Baiyuju. Seeing her chest heaving with anger, I felt triumphant, my tail practically wagging in the air. Miss! Bao Chan's voice arrived at the worst possible moment. I turned to see her winking and gesturing. "What is it?" I stormed over, and Bao Chan pulled me close, whispering, "Do you know who that man is? And you just went with him? Isn't he the third prince? Then do you know why he's called Ning Wudao, not Xiao Wudao?" "Well, yes." "Why?" Bao Chan leaned closer, her voice hushed. When the third prince was born, his mother died in childbirth. Soon after, the midwife, the palace maids, even his wet nurse, they all fell ill and died one by one. People say he's a star of solitary doom, destined to bring death to those around him. And he was born with silver hair. How could anyone not be terrified? The emperor deemed him unlucky, forbade him from bearing the Xiao surname, and changed it to Ning after his mother. When he was still young, they abandoned him in a Taoist temple. Only this year did they bring him back. I gasped, really? Absolutely. Having lived secluded in your chambers, you're unaware of these secrets. Didn't you notice just now on the street? Even the horses fear him. I tried to warn you not to approach him, it brings misfortune, but you wouldn't listen. I nodded, pondering for a moment before saying, this backstory makes him even more intriguing. Bao Chan blinked, huh? Don't come looking for me again. I warned her, then turned to walk toward Ning Wudao. Bai Yuzhu had slipped away unnoticed, leaving only Ning Wudao standing beneath the tree, gazing distantly at the revelry by the lake. He didn't turn around, yet knew it was me. His voice was calm. What did she say to you? I feigned ignorance. Huh? What? Nothing at all. I know. He glanced at me, then turned his head to look into the distance, his emotions deeply concealed. Did she tell you I'm a star of misfortune? That whoever gets close to me will meet with disaster? I shook my head hastily. No, she didn't. After speaking, seeing his expression, my heart stirred. I stepped before him and said earnestly, I've never believed in ghosts or gods. What star of solitary doom? I don't buy it. He looked at me. Really? My throat caught. Having been reborn myself, saying there were no ghosts or gods felt somehow insincere. But seeing in his eyes a hint of fragile hope, I nodded quickly. Really? I don't believe it. He gazed into my eyes and smiled faintly. You're the first person in all these years to say that. The spring festival banquet began. While everyone else crowded around the Empress and Crown Prince, I sat at the back cracking melon seeds and admiring the flowers, a rather different scene altogether. I glanced at the sun and estimated the Crown Prince would soon fall into the water. I hurriedly summoned Bao Chan and instructed her to tell Bai Yuzhu to keep a close watch on the large water jar by the lake. In my past life, it was right there, while we were bickering, that we encountered Xiao Jingqing drowning. Bai Yuzhu later grew jealous that I became the Crown Prince's betrothed, even cursing me as cunning. She claimed that if not for me, she would have been the one to save the Crown Prince, and she would have been the one to enter the Eastern Palace. Now, I'm giving her that chance back. Bao Chan received the message. Though she didn't know why, she obediently ran off to relay it. At the second hour of the snake, with a splash, Xiao Jingqing fell into the water right on schedule. Everyone rushed to the water's edge, but I patted Ning Wudao. Let's step back. All right. Ning Wudao obediently took a few steps back with me. Glancing at the Crown Prince flailing in the water, he said, if I hadn't come, the Crown Prince wouldn't have fallen in. I cut him off sharply. Don't say that. He would have fallen in regardless. It's not your fault. Why do you say that? Just trust me. All right. He paused, then added, I stepped back because I feared my ill fortune might harm the Crown Prince. Why did you retreat? I have social anxiety. Crowds terrify me. He looked utterly bewildered but didn't press further. After all this pointless chatter between Ning Wudao and me, the Crown Prince still hadn't been pulled out. I found it odd, but with the crowd gathered at the lakeside, I couldn't see what was happening in the water. All I could do was wait. Still, I figured Bai Yuzhu must have jumped in to save him. Just as I was thinking this, Bai Yuzhu pushed her way through the crowd and rushed to my side. Xin Jiayan. Her face was flushed with anger. Xin Jiayan, you told Bao Chan to warn me about that big water vat. Did you want to get me killed? Thank goodness I kept my wits about me and didn't go near it. Otherwise, I'd have been drenched. She adjusted the velvet flowers in her hair and added, good thing my flowers stayed dry. Otherwise, I'd have scratched your face to pieces. I was stunned. In my past life, wasn't it her who said that if not for me, she would have jumped in to save the Crown Prince and become his consort? How come now, the Crown Prince matters less than the flowers on her head? She asked me, why aren't you saying anything? Gone mute? Me, why didn't you go save the Crown Prince? Her, then why didn't you go? Me, why should I have gone? Her, if you weren't going, why should I have gone? I was speechless. Xiao Jingqing was pulled ashore and laid on the ground. Several people poured water on him and pressed his chest. Seeing his ridiculous state, I wanted to laugh, but then I remembered my own past life ending the same way, and the laughter died. Soon, Xiao Jingqing regained consciousness. Palace attendants hurriedly wrapped him in blankets and helped him back to the boat. As he walked, he kept glancing back, as if searching for something. Watching from afar, I exhaled in relief. This lifetime, he and I were finally untangled. Xiao Jingqing's fall into the water threw the spring festival banquet into chaos. Everyone darted about like headless flies. Bai Yushu and I were pulled away by her mother, who admonished us not to speak out of turn. When we emerged, Ning Wudao had vanished. After searching around, I finally spotted him by the boat's edge, having just been slapped across the face by Her Majesty the Empress. He stood utterly still, back rigidly straight, eyes lowered so his expression was unreadable. My heart clenched as if someone had twisted it, yet I dared not approach. He likely didn't want anyone to see his humiliation, my presence would only make it worse. The spring appreciation banquet ended abruptly, leaving everything unresolved. Upon returning home, I intended to confront my younger half-sister Xinjiahe, but Bao Chan reminded me, "Miss, have you forgotten? Second Miss is still observing mourning rites for Lady Zhou at the estate." Right, that must be it. Xinjiahe's mother passed away, and she must observe a year of mourning. She won't return for several more days. Before Lady Zhou's death, she was confined within the manor just like me. After Lady Zhou passed, she remained in mourning. So when did she start consorting with Xiao Jingqing? Was it after I became betrothed to Xiao Jingqing? How disgusting, betrothed to me, yet conspiring with my sister, secretly pledging their lives to each other. The more I thought about it, the angrier I grew. I tossed and turned all night, finally drifting off around midnight. In my dream, Xiao Jingqing fell into the water. No one rescued him, and he swelled up like a giant rubber ball. I laughed and laughed until I woke up. A strange chill ran down my spine, as if I faintly heard someone coughing. Opening my eyes, I saw someone sitting by the bed. It was Xiao Jingqing. His fists clenched, he demanded angrily, "Xinjiayan, why didn't you save me tonight?" "What the hell?" My eyes rolled back, and I fainted from fright. The sheer terror even made me ill. Yet everyone in the mansion insisted no one had entered that night. Bao Chan said, "Miss, you must have had a nightmare. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is so noble, how could he possibly climb over our wall?" Later, I thought about it and realized she was right. Xiao Jingqing was young, yet always so stiff and serious. It really didn't seem like him to climb over the wall to see me. Besides, I'd never done anything to provoke him in my entire life. Why would he come looking for me? It must have been a nightmare. Bad luck, even dreaming of him makes me feel ill. A day later, Bao Chan returned and told me Ning Wudao had also fallen ill. I sat bolt upright in my deathbed. Why? Bao Chan said, "They say it's because the Crown Prince's jade fell into the lake. The third prince jumped into Malong Lake to search for it and caught a chill. What kind of jade could be so precious? They say His Royal Highness the Crown Prince has worn it since childhood. It's called the Taihua Treasure Jade. A gift from immortals, they say, even the key to unlocking the immortal realm." All this talk is so fantastical, I don't know if it's true or not. Worn since childhood? Suddenly, I remembered my past life. Before Xinjiahe pushed me into the sea of fire, he showed me a jade pendant. I wonder if it was the same one. But none of that mattered now. I had to check on Ning Wudao first. Ignoring Bao Chan's fierce protests, I stuffed a bag of candied fruits into my sleeve and headed to see Ning Wudao. As I opened the door, I bumped right into Bai Yushu coming out. I forgot to mention, our families lived across from each other. Since childhood, Bai Yushu and I would sit at our doorsteps, throwing mud at each other, punching and pinching. "Oh, Xinjiayan, where are you off to?" She proudly tapped her wrist and said, "My father brought me another exquisite Hitian jade bracelet. Want to take a look? Beautiful. Truly beautiful." Without even glancing at her, I climbed straight into the carriage. Bai Yushu stomped her foot in frustration. "Xinjiayan, why are you ignoring me again?" Upon arriving at the third prince's residence, I stood at the entrance for a moment before being ushered in by a maid. Ning Wudao sat beneath the pear tree in the courtyard, pouring tea. These days brought a late spring chill, and though I wore my winter quilted jacket, Ning Wudao was dressed lightly. The wind blew, making him look ethereal. How could he not fall ill? Third prince. I called out, and only then did he pause, turning to look at me, his face somewhat pale. Jian. I heard you were ill. Are you feeling better? I brought you some candied fruit. My mother made it herself, it's better than anything you'll find outside. Try some. He took the small paper packet but didn't open it. He just looked at me, smiling faintly. Thank you. How are you feeling? I'm fine now. Suddenly, I sneezed at the worst possible moment. Sniffling, I hurriedly added, I'm truly fine now. I've been well for ages. His smile, however, held a touch of self-mockery. It seems this ill-omened person truly has brought misfortune upon you all. When I heard you were ill, I wanted to visit, but feared my presence might make your illness worse. Don't say that. I hurriedly sat beside him and said, what harm? My illness had nothing to do with you. It was caused by a ghost. A ghost? I nodded like a chick pecking at grain, a shameless drowned ghost. No sooner had I spoken than a shadow fell over me, and a deep, ominous voice came from behind, what drowned ghost? I whirled around, nearly losing my soul in fright. Shao. Your Highness the Crown Prince. What are you doing here? I was just about to ask you the same. He fixed his gaze on me, bending slightly. Did I hear you mention a drowned ghost? I shook my head hastily. Nothing like that. I was just trying to amuse the third prince. Oh, I see. He nodded, then glanced at the paper parcel by Ning Wudao's side. What's this? Ning Wudao glanced at it and replied, these are candied fruits Jiayan brought me. Xiao Jingqing picked it up, examined it briefly, then without a word, tucked it into his own robe. Third brother has an upset stomach. Sweet preserves are cloying and will only spoil his appetite. Confiscated. I really wanted to slap him. I didn't dare. I held back. Right. Xiao Jingqing sat down and asked me, seemingly casually, you still haven't explained how you came here. Do you know him? I nervously took a sip of tea, yes. He pressed further, when did you meet? Why haven't I heard about this? Ning Wudao handed him a cup of tea and said, we met at the spring banquet. Is your highness particularly interested? Xiao Jingqing paused, took the tea, and nonchalantly changed the subject, just a passing question. Oh, right, third brother. You haven't finished telling me about your master. Go on. As the two of them chatted, I sat beside them, feeling like I was sitting on pins and needles. Especially since Xiao Jingqing was seated between Ning Wudao and me, completely blocking us off. Ning Wudao and I couldn't exchange a single word. After several sips of tea, I could bear it no longer. Rising, I bid Ning Wudao farewell, I should be going now. When you're better, I'll bring you some candied fruit to eat. With that, I started to leave. Ning Wudao stood up, I'll walk you out. Seeing this, Xiao Jingqing also rose, I should be going too. He naturally positioned himself between Ning Wudao and me. Throughout the journey, Ning Wudao and I exchanged not a single word. At the doorway, as we parted, Xiao Jingqing patted Ning Wudao's shoulder. Third brother, stay put. Focus on your recovery. Ning Wudao glanced at me, nodded, and bowed to Xiao Jingqing. Your Highness, take your time. Once I'm better, I'll seek out the Taihua jade again. Xiao Jingqing cut him off, no need. It wasn't you who lost it. Tomorrow I'll go to the Qingtian temple to burn incense and ask for a talisman to inquire. Your Highness, you've always disbelieved in spirits and ghosts. Mother ordered me to go. If I don't, she'll lecture me again. After saying this, he suddenly glanced at me. Besides, sometimes one really has no choice but to believe in spirits and ghosts. That look sent a chill down my spine. An inexplicable feeling stirred within me, but it was too absurd to entertain. I hastily took my leave. Back home, I gulped down half a pot of tea to quell the tumult in my mind. Slow down, slow down. Bao Chan snatched the teapot, pouring water into the cup as she asked, is the third prince better? Did they find the Taihua jade? I shook my head. No. The crown prince said he'll go to the Qingtian temple tomorrow to seek an amulet and ask. The crown prince is there too? Wasn't he ill? He looked as lively as ever, perfectly fine. I snatched the teacup and gulped it down. Bao Chan said, I told you not to go see the third prince, but you wouldn't listen. Sip slowly, don't spill on your clothes. If second miss sees you, she'll laugh at you. Xinjiahe? She's back? MHM, she went to pay respects to master and mistress. She should be back soon. Oh, here she comes. Bao Chan hurriedly dabbed my chin with a handkerchief. A figure emerged from the porch, clad in snow-white robes. Her face bore a serene expression, her hands folded before her abdomen, the bones clearly visible beneath the skin. She was so slender it was almost startling. It could only be Xinjiahe. Sister. She offered a faint smile and glided toward me with measured steps. I cleared my throat awkwardly. Oh, Jiahe. When did you return? Just now. She drew a small paper packet from her sleeve and presented it with both hands. After paying my respects to father and mother, I came to see you, sister. This is dried meat I made myself. Please try it when you have a moment. I accepted it, my eyes involuntarily lingering on her slender hands. Had she been treated poorly at home? I couldn't quite recall. As a concubine's daughter, she hadn't spent much time with me, and my impressions of her were faint. The deepest memory was when she burned me. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. Xinjiahe curtsied, this younger sister takes her leave. I called after her, why the rush? You've finally returned, can't we talk a little longer? Surprise flickered in her eyes before she smiled. I'm eager to gather mother's belongings and send them to Qingtian Temple for veneration. If you wish to speak, I can stay a while longer. I nodded, then froze. Qingtian Temple? She was going there too? Wouldn't she run into Xiao Jingqing there? Last life, I lost without understanding why. This time, I'd see how the two of them got together. Hiding my thoughts, I smiled at her. Since you have business, I shan't delay you. Go. Before dawn the next day, Xinjiahe set off for Qingtian Temple by carriage. Our household only had 2 carriages. If I took another one, my father would have to walk to work. Fearing he'd be late and get his bottom whipped by the emperor, I had no choice but to hire a donkey cart with Bao Chan. By the time we reached Qingtian Temple, we were an hour behind Xinjiahe. Qingtian Temple was bustling with worshippers, a throng of people filling the air. Unable to find Xinjiahe, I changed tack and sought out Xiao Jingqing. As the crown prince, he had a grand entourage and would be easy to spot. Sure enough, after circling the grounds, I spotted the palace guards in the plum garden. Peering inside, I indeed spotted Xiao Jingqing and Xinjiahe, they were already conversing. I instructed Bao Chan to wait where she stood while I crept closer, hiding behind the nearest large incense burner to observe. Jiahe meant no offense, Your Highness. Please forgive me. Xinjiahe's voice was soft and gentle, her eyes like autumn water, conveying hidden meaning. Even I felt pity for her. I sneered inwardly. Right, this must be how Xiao Jingqing was bewitched. I turned my gaze back to Xiao Jingqing. But he wore an expression of utter indifference, his voice level, it matters not. You may withdraw. Huh? Unmoved? How peculiar. Then, Jiahe takes her leave. Xinjiahe curtsied in the feminine manner, slowly rising to her feet. As she stepped forward to depart, her foot caught in her skirt, sending her tumbling toward Xiao Jingqing. Next up must be the hero saving the damsel in distress, a tur lying among bean. I'd come to catch them in the act, yet for some reason, I found myself clenching my fists in excitement. Xinjiahe let out a startled cry as she crashed onto the floor. In the instant she lunged, Xiao Jingqing had actually dodged her. This is a sacred place for worshipping the divine. Your clumsy behavior is utterly improper. His brow furrowed slightly, displeasure evident. Xinjiahe's face turned green at his words, tears nearly spilling. I'm sorry, Your Highness. Get up immediately. Xiao Jingqing glanced at Xinjiahe, showing no intention of helping her up. I froze. This scene. It felt off. Love at first sight? Secret exchanges? Where did it all go? Who dares spy here? Lost in confusion, a thunderous shout erupted from behind. Startled, I panicked, tripped over my skirt, and fell to the ground. It was Xiao Jingqing's guard. Seeing my fall, he lunged forward to seize me. Hold! Xiao Jingqing halted him, then looked at me with surprise. Xinjiayan? Xin Jiahe also turned to look at me. I hurriedly covered my face. How embarrassing. Xiao Jingqing strode over, crouching down to take my hand. Why are you here? I forced a smile. I was passing by. He didn't press further, instead taking my hand to examine it. Your hand's scraped. Anywhere else hurt? Let me see. I hesitated for a moment. He seemed genuinely worried. I could even feel his urgency and carefulness. But it didn't make sense. I'm fine. I quickly pulled my hand away. Unconvinced, he helped me up again. Can you stand? Check if your ankle's twisted. I can stand. I'm fine, really. I pushed him away and scrambled up. Worried he wouldn't believe me, I hopped in place, my ankle twinged, nearly sending me tumbling again. Slow down. He reached to steady me, but I sidestepped his hand. Xinjiahe stared at me, limping closer. Sis, what are you doing here? Didn't even tell your little sister. I steadied myself, cleared my throat with an awkward laugh, trying to sound composed. Oh, Jiahe, I decided on a whim. Didn't tell you. Never expected to run into you all. What a coincidence. Yeah, what a coincidence. Did you come to burn incense, sis? I couldn't exactly say I came to catch someone cheating, could I? I stole a glance at Xiao Jingqing and started making things up. Well, I heard Qing Tian Temple is very sacred. I came to burn incense and pray for the third prince. His illness hasn't improved, and I'm very worried. For some reason, Xiao Jingqing stiffened upon hearing this. You're praying for my third brother? Yes, I'm very concerned about the third prince's illness. You're concerned about him? He couldn't believe it, clenching his jaw. What business is his illness to you? Sending candied fruit is one thing, but climbing this high mountain to burn incense and pray for him? He seemed furious, radiating an intimidating aura that made me involuntarily take half a step back. Your Highness, this has nothing to do with you, does it? How is it none of my business? His voice rose slightly, like a cat with its fur standing on end, and there was even a hint of grievance in his eyes. Many people were looking over. I stared at him in confusion. Hesitating due to the crowd, he drew a breath to calm his anger, lowering his voice. Xinjiayan, you are forbidden to pray for him. Why not? Because. He seemed to want to say something, but the words died on his lips as he clenched his fist. Because I am the crown prince. His gaze then turned sharp toward the abbot. Close the temple. Send the guests away. The abbot's legs went weak with fear, utterly bewildered. Why? Do as I say. He turned back, glaring at me petulantly. No one is to burn incense today. I stood frozen for a long moment. Xiao Jingqing. He seems to have that particular illness. Utterly baffling. I'd never encountered anyone so unreasonable. Finally, unable to contain myself, I disregarded all notions of rank and status, snorted coldly, and turned to leave. Where are you going? His Highness has dismissed me. Where else could I go? Xinjiayan. Without turning back, I limped away at a brisk pace. Bao Chan came to meet me. She'd been standing far off and hadn't witnessed what happened. Smiling cheerfully, she asked, I just saw His Highness the Crown Prince helping you here. What were you two talking about? What could a human and a dog possibly talk about? Bao Chan quickly covered my mouth. I won't let you call yourself a dog. I swung my fist, as big as a clay pot. She nervously let go. I'm a dog. Woof. Bao Chan and I descended the mountain, riding back in a donkey cart. Xinjiahe came down several moments after us, yet arrived home before me, entering the gate ahead of me. Second young miss, what a coincidence. Bao Chan greeted casually. Xinjiahe turned to look at us. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her complexion pale. Ah, sister. I'm feeling unwell and will retire early. She bowed and hurried away. Watching her retreating figure, my mind was in turmoil. I'd intended to catch them in the act, yet things had become even more complicated than in my past life. What was going on with Xiao Jingqing? How could he not like Xinjiahe? In my previous life, he'd even given her his treasured jade pendant. I couldn't make sense of it. That night, I lay awake again, my thoughts circling endlessly without resolution. Just as I was drifting off, the night wind blew the window open. Irritated, I rose to close it. Turning around, I collided head-on with someone. Ah! My startled cry was muffled as a hand clamped over my mouth. Above me, Xiao Jingqing's voice whispered, "Don't scream. It's me." My heart thundered in my chest. Staring up in shock, I finally made out his face in the faintest moonlight filtering through the window. So he really did climb over the wall into my house? So last time wasn't a nightmare? Keep your voice down. He released his grip, pulling a small porcelain vial from his robe with a sour expression. You had a scrape, didn't you? This is skin healing ointment from the palace. It'll help it heal faster. He brought me medicine? Shock. I froze for a moment, then raised my hand to show him. It's already healed. The scabs formed. He fidgeted with the porcelain vial before asking, "Does your foot still hurt?" "It doesn't hurt anymore. I'm tough." "Your Highness, why did you come so late at night?" "To see you." "I know. Today at the Qingtian Temple, you must have thought I was strange. But Xinjiayan, I had my reasons for getting angry." I cut him off. "What reasons?" Xiao Jingqing looked at me, then took a deep breath. "Because I'm in love with you." I stumbled back in shock, nearly falling to the ground. He hurriedly added, "Don't be afraid. I know this is abrupt, but if I didn't say it, I'd go mad." I could almost hear his heartbeat. In the silent night, every word he spoke rang crystal clear. "Xinjiayan, I'm deeply fond of you. I want to marry you." This is crazy. How could Xiao Jingqing like me? Why am I entangled with this jerk again? You're serious? Every word is sincere. He clenched his fist, as if summoning immense courage, and asked me, "Will you marry me?" "No." The words nearly burst from my lips. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would leap from my throat. I already have someone I love. After a moment's frozen silence, he stared at me in astonishment, as if confirming he hadn't misheard. "What?" My voice grew fainter. I said, "I have someone I love. I've already pledged myself to him. We've made a private promise to marry." "How could you love someone else?" His eyes darkened instantly, his body swaying slightly. Yet his status and refinement forbade any loss of composure. He braced himself against the table edge, his voice trembling as he asked, "Is it Ning Wudao?" "Yes. But you've only known each other for days. Love at first sight, deep and unwavering, what does the length of time matter?" I dared not meet his gaze, whispering softly, "To receive His Highness the Crown Prince's affection is both an honor and a daunting responsibility. But you came too late. Our paths were never meant to cross." In the darkness, he fell silent, only the sound of his ragged breathing betraying his turmoil. I peered at him cautiously. After a long while, he withdrew his hand. Standing in the night like a solitary stone, he trembled slightly as he forced a calm tone, "I'm sorry for disturbing you." I sent Xiao Jingqing away. Yet for some reason, my heart felt dazed and confused. I even felt a twinge of regret and sadness. I must be losing my mind. Hesitation breeds chaos. Entangling myself with him could cost me my life. I clutched my head, forcing myself to stop thinking about him. The next day, after breakfast, I grabbed a packet of candied fruit and headed to see Ning Wudao. A handsome face might help me forget that jerk. Or maybe I should just make a done deal out of it. Then I'd never have these wild thoughts again. Arriving at the third prince's mansion, the maid who led me in teased as we walked, "Some petty people are spreading rumors about our prince, saying no one dares approach him." See? This just proves them wrong. Plenty care about our prince. Besides me, who else? There's also a Miss Bai. You might recognize her. Alarm bells rang in my heart. Which Miss Bai? Before even reaching Ning Wudao's study, I heard a sweet, high-pitched voice. Third Prince, why are you so cold? I came to visit you. Bai Yuzhu. I hurried inside. Miss Bai, please behave yourself. Ning Wudao stood pale before his desk, coughing into his hand. Bai Yuzhu, clutching a handkerchief, leaned in to wipe his brow. Oh, Miss Bai, what brings you here? I stood in the doorway, coldly watching Bai Yuzhu nearly press herself against Ning Wudao. Jia Yan? Ning Wudao relaxed his frown, stepping around Bai Yuzhu toward me. You came to see me? His gentle gaze melted the last remnants of my irritation. I slipped him the candied fruit and whispered, it's candied fruit. The Crown Prince isn't here today, let's sneak a bite. Sneak a bite of what? Bai Yuzhu asked, but neither of us acknowledged her. Ning Wudao took the candied fruit, his gaze lingering on my hand. You're injured? Ah, it's fine. It's already scabbed over. There's a scar. It doesn't matter. I don't mind such things. He held my hand and examined it, then suddenly said, I'll show you a trick. Bai Yuzhu, what trick? Hey! Someone pay attention to me. Ning Wudao smiled faintly, pressing his other hand over my scar as his eyes slowly closed. A gentle breeze stirred, making his silver hair flutter lightly. Moments later, he opened his eyes and released my hand. I looked down, the scar was gone. My hand looked as though it had never been injured. Could a human truly do such a thing? It was beyond my comprehension. How did you do that? I stared at my hand, examining it from every angle, then rubbed it. It was genuinely healed. This was a technique my master at the Taoist temple taught me. Secrets of heaven must never be revealed. Your master is so amazing. He'll be traveling to the capital in a few days. I'll take you to meet him. He gazed at me with the indulgent look of someone watching a child. After speaking, he suddenly frowned and began coughing, worse than before. I rushed to support him. What's wrong? Did that trick harm your body? No. It's just that my illness hasn't fully healed yet. How come it's not better yet? Seeing my worry, he added, old ailments that have built up over time are hard to cure. But when the weather warms up, it should improve. I nodded, then when the weather gets better, we'll go bask in the sun. He smiled at me. Bai Yuzhu, who'd been ignored all this time, finally couldn't take it anymore. She burst into tears. You're ignoring me. Ignoring me. I turned my head to see her hopping about, crying fiercely, yet not a single tear fell. I scoffed lightly. Why should we pay attention to someone unrelated? She stopped crying and crossed her arms, saying, Why am I unrelated? You can come see the third prince, but I can't? I felt quite smug. Of course not. Can you compare to my relationship with the third prince? Bai Yuzhu glared at me. What kind of relationship? Yeah, what kind? Ning Wudao had never admitted to anything. I thought for a moment and tossed the question back at him. You tell me. What kind of relationship are we? I watched him, somewhat anticipating his response. Ning Wudao hesitated for a moment before saying, we. He looked at me, his face actually turning red. Oh my god, Ning Wudao looking embarrassed is too adorable. I cupped his hands and said, You devil, what's there to be shy about? We. Before I could finish, a thunderous voice boomed from behind us, Shinjiayan, let go of your younger brother-in-law's hand. I froze, and so did Ning Wudao and Bai Yuzhu. Six eyes stared in shock toward the doorway. Xiao Jingqing stood there, arms crossed, gazing at us through the spring drizzle. After a long moment, I finally found my voice. Your Highness, how? How did you get here? Shinjiayan. He called my name, standing tall with his head held high. Dark circles lingered beneath his eyes. Clearly, he hadn't slept. He said, I thought all night. I've come to understand. Understood what? Understood that no matter what you say, I won't give you up to anyone else. Ning Wudao looked stunned, turning to Xiao Jingqing. Your Highness, what are you saying? Xiao Jingqing met his gaze, his eyes cold as blades. Third brother, the hand you hold now belongs to your sister-in-law. Your Highness, please choose your words carefully. 2 of my 3 souls finally returned, and I rushed down the porch, pushing Xiao Jingqing away. You must have been sleep-deprived and talking nonsense. Go back and catch some more sleep. After being pushed along for a few steps, he steadied himself, immovable as stone. Gripping my wrist, he declared, Xinjiayan, I speak no nonsense. I panicked. What are you doing? I told you I've pledged myself to the third prince. What betrothal? He lowered his head, his gaze intense. That doesn't count. Why should I concede? What private vows or secret exchanges could compare to our formal betrothal, 3 letters and 6 rights, proclaimed to the world? Who said I? My body trembled. Your Highness, what did you just say? His voice trembled slightly, as if he'd made up his mind. I know you think I'm mad, but every word is true. Xinjiayan, you are my crown princess. This bond was sealed in a past life, a vow that binds us through countless lifetimes. A bond forged in a past life. My mind buzzed as I processed this. Staring at him, my voice caught in my throat. His voice softened. You truly think I'm mad, don't you? No. I shook my head, forcing myself to steady, and finally asked the question I'd always considered too absurd. Xiao Jingqing, did you also reincarnate? He froze, his eyes brimming with 1,000 emotions. After a moment, he tremblingly seized my hand. You remember? Xinjiayan, you remember me? Absolutely ridiculous. Before, I hadn't known he'd reincarnated, nor did I harbor much resentment toward him. After all, in this life, he had no knowledge of his past deeds. But now, things were different. I hastily pulled my hand away. Xiao Jingqing, if you wronged me in your past life, why come looking for me now? He stared at me, his eyes shifting from joy to bewilderment. How have I ever wronged you? Playing dumb? I gritted my teeth. You may have forgotten, but I haven't. I'll never forget how you burned me alive in my past life. How could I have harmed you? Xinjiayan, if I ever harmed you, may I be struck by lightning and die a miserable death. Then how did your jade pendant end up in Xinjiaha's possession in that past life? Xinjiaha? He took a half step back, puzzled. What was this about? I never met her in my past life. I froze. Looking into his eyes, he seemed genuinely unaware. Was this a misunderstanding, or was he deceiving me? I didn't know whether to believe him. My mind was spinning. I won't believe your one-sided story. If I'm deceived by you again, I'm a dog. I pushed him out. Get out! He grew anxious. Xinjiayan, why won't you believe me? You've all nearly killed me, how could I trust you? Servants passing by the third prince's residence dared not approach our heated argument, watching in frightened awe. I glanced around, snatching a guard's sword nearby. If you don't leave now, I'll... He studied the blade's edge, then stepped closer instead. Then kill me. We froze in the rain. The cool raindrops stung my skin like tiny needles. Xiao Jingqing leaned in, reaching to shield me, but I shoved him away. He staggered before regaining his footing, daring not to approach again. Instead, he grabbed my sleeve and wouldn't let go. Xinjiayan, I've never done anything to harm you. In the silence, the rain grew heavier. Xiao Jingqing's hair was soaked, water dripping down. He was the crown prince of a nation. When had he ever looked so disheveled? My heart softened slightly. I quickly turned my face away, dropped the knife, and blurted out words tinged with a melancholy resentment I barely recognized myself. I don't care. It's all from a past life. It doesn't matter if it's tangled or not. It's irrelevant now. I don't want to hear your explanations. Anyway, I like someone else now. I'll never have anything to do with you again. I tugged at my sleeve to leave, but couldn't pull free. Xiao Jingqing held it tightly, refusing to let go. After a moment of silence, he asked, "Do you really like him?" I clearly wanted to leave, yet for some reason, I couldn't take a single step. I looked up to see his eyes already wet, glistening like shards of broken skylight, as if they might spill over at any moment. Xinjiayan, how dare you like him? I was here first. He stared at me like an abandoned stray cat. I'm your rightful fiancé. After learning about the Shin family's fire, I rushed into the flames to find you without a second thought. I knew nothing about the things you mentioned. He took a deep breath, gazing at me stubbornly and painfully. I haven't done anything wrong. How dare you love someone else? Staring back at him, my own eyes unexpectedly welled up. I recalled the year before my wedding, when I too had embroidered my bridal gown with joyful anticipation, daydreaming constantly of marrying him. Footsteps approached. Ning Wudao raised his umbrella, shielding my head. He looked down at me, his eyes a complex mix of concern and unease. Don't catch cold. Xiao Jingqing saw him, clenching his fist. Like a tree that never bends, he was breaking his own branch for the first time. Xinjiayan, at the very least, give me a chance to prove myself. The wind picked up, carrying away the warmth from our bodies, sending shivers down our spines. In the end, my heart softened. I too began to suspect there was more to this story. Ning Wudao suddenly spoke, Your Highness, Jiayan, though I don't know what transpired between you, I suspect there must be some misunderstanding. Why not sit down and talk it out, to clarify everything? After all, Your Highness is my beloved elder brother, in Jiayan. You are my dearest friend. I wish well for both of you. Xiao Jingqing lifted his gaze and asked him, You only consider her a friend? I also looked up at Ning Wudao. His grip on the umbrella tightened slightly as he smiled faintly. What else could it be? A man like me, could I possibly dare to hope for anything more? My heart inexplicably tightened. On the way home, Baiyushu grabbed me and asked, Xinjiayan, are you two in a love triangle? I pushed her away. What love triangle? Didn't you hear what the third prince said? He only sees me as a friend. Then do you still like him? And what about the crown prince? Do you like him? Her question caught me off guard. Seeing my silence, she seemed pleased. So you don't like either of them, right? My instinct to banter with her kicked in. Ha! Can't I like both? She glared at me. How can you like two people? Why not? I'm just committing the universal sin of all women. She stared at me in shock, as if she just grasped something profound. Back at the third prince's mansion, I pulled Xiao Jingqing aside when no one else was around. We sat down and carefully pieced together the events. Every last doubt ultimately pointed to Xinjiahe. But this lifetime's Xinjiahe knew nothing. Though I refused to give up, my attempts to probe him all came up empty. Unraveling the past life secrets wasn't so simple, and the matter soon reached an impasse. Both Xiao Jingqing and I were at a loss. A few days later, the weather improved. Remembering Ning Wudao's illness, I went to find him for some sun exposure. After all, it was our prior arrangement. The mere mention of Ning Wudao's name made Xiao Jingqing tense up. He began visiting the third prince's residence daily, claiming it was to look after his younger brother. One Xiao Jingqing was already enough of a nuisance, but then Baiyushu came along to stir things up. Today she'd slip handkerchiefs to Ning Wudao, tomorrow she'd deliver sachets to Xiao Jingqing, chasing them around until they had to hide. I confronted her. Baiyushu. What are you meddling in? She retorted defiantly. Meddling? I'm just bravely pursuing love. But you can't chase both. Which one do you actually like? Hard to say. You can't possibly like both. She rolled her eyes. So what? I'm just committing the universal sin of all women. After over half a month of chaos, the master Ning Wudao had mentioned arrived, staying at the Qingtian temple. I wanted to see his master perform magic tricks. Hearing the news, I rushed over without delay to join the commotion. Halfway there, the carriage was suddenly stopped. Just as I lifted the curtain to ask, a foot stepped inside, followed by Xiao Jingqing's head. He climbed into the carriage, sat down beside me with perfect composure, and asked, Where are you headed? I glared at him. What are you doing? Hitching a ride. Do you even know where I'm going? Oh, anywhere is fine. I've finished my official business for the day and have plenty of time. You decide. You're not part of my plans. You are now. His gaze fell on the package in my hands. He snatched it away, his tone tinged with irritation. Candied fruit again? I told you his stomach can't handle it. No sneaking it to him. Confiscated. Xiao Jingqing, you're being unreasonable. How am I being unreasonable? I'm only thinking of third brother's health. As he spoke, he lifted the curtain and asked the driver, "Why aren't we moving?" The driver replied, "There's a blockage up ahead." I leaned forward to see a procession blocking the road ahead. Xiao Jingqing recognized them, leaped down, and approached. The rider dismounted immediately, bowing and stammering apologies. Xiao Jingqing frowned, his displeasure deepening. He turned back abruptly. "Shinjiayan, I have matters to attend to. Will you wait for me?" "Why should I wait for you?" "You." He gritted his teeth and said, "Then be careful on your way. Give me back the candied fruit." "No way." After shaking off Xiao Jingqing and arriving at the Qingtian temple, I realized I wasn't the first to arrive. Bai Yushu had actually been there for quite some time. She stood beside Ning Wudao, grinning smugly at me. "Oh, Shinjiayan. I thought you left before me. What happened? Did your old clunker break down?" "Should have said so, I could have given you a ride. My place has a brand new car with so many people around." I held my tongue and ignored her. Seeing my silence, she gritted her teeth in frustration. Master Ning Wudao, looking 60 or 70, wore a gray Taoist robe with an air of ethereal grace. I dared not be presumptuous. After respectfully offering 2 cups of tea, I sat down and kept silent, not daring to mention that I'd come today hoping to see him perform magic tricks. Bai Yushu, however, was quite the chatterbox, chattering away non-stop. Out of nowhere, she brought up Xiao Jingqing and asked if only His Royal Highness the Crown Prince were here. He recently lost some Taihua jade, couldn't find it anywhere. We should have asked Master Ning to cast a divination for him. Ning Wudao recalled the incident and bowed respectfully. "Speaking of which, your highness's lost jade is connected to my disciple. It's an heirloom passed down by our ancestors, a very important piece. I wonder if the master might." I already knew. Wu Ning stroked his beard and said, "This object is far away in the sky, yet close at hand." Master Ning was momentarily taken aback. How coincidental, when the Crown Prince last visited the Celestial Temple to seek an oracle about the jade, he too was told it lay far away yet near at hand. Yet despite searching for days, it remained unfound. There's no need to search. It was never lost. When the time comes, it will appear of its own accord. These words seemed laden with deeper meaning. We exchanged glances but dared not press further. A shrill, piercing sound suddenly filled the room, causing everyone to instinctively cover their ears. A young monk rushed out from the inner chamber, clutching a glass mirror. "Master!" he cried urgently. "The sacred mirror is ringing again." Our eyes turned to the mirror. Yet the moment we fixed our gaze upon it, the sound abruptly ceased. The young monk looked puzzled. "Huh? That's strange. It rang for nearly half an hour yesterday." Bai Yushu asked, "Isn't this just a little broken mirror?" Wanning heard this and couldn't help but laugh. "This is no mere broken mirror. It is called the Taihua Treasure Mirror, a gift from immortals. It can reveal past lives, foretell present fortunes, and calculate future blessings." Hearing this, I quickly grasped the key point. It can see past lives and future lives? Indeed. Wu Ning nodded. The mirror has been dusty for ages, but lately it's been crying out often. Perhaps it's time to see the light of day has come. He glanced at us and added, "You kids seem fated to it. Why not give it a try?" "Yes, yes, yes." Bai Yushu and I blurted out almost simultaneously. I'd been fretting over how to ask him to borrow the mirror. If it truly held such power, then everything that happened in my past life would be revealed. "Very well, one at a time." He took the crystal mirror, his expression turning serious as he looked at the 3 of us. "What you see in this mirror are secrets of heaven. Keep them in your hearts, never share them with others, and never defy the heavens. Doing so will bring disaster. Remember this well." With that, he handed the mirror to me. I asked him, "But how do I use it?" "Don't worry," he replied. "It knows what you wish to see." I nodded, hesitantly eyeing the mirror as a wave of nervousness washed over me. I feared it might be useless, leaving me with false hope. Yet I also dreaded the truth being too cruel for me to bear. Only now did I realize how desperately I wished Xiao Jingqing had never deceived me. To use the treasure mirror, the two uninvolved parties, Ning Wudao and Bai Yushu, were naturally ushered out. After much trepidation, I finally heeded Ning's words and cradled the treasure mirror. The mirror had originally reflected my face, but the moment I lifted it, it suddenly went dark. Moments later, the mirror burst forth with a blinding radiance of golden light. The glare stung my eyes so fiercely I had to shut them tight. Then, scenes began streaming into my mind through the golden rays, unfolding in a bizarre manner. I saw myself at 12 or 13, fighting with Bai Yushu by the lake. I saw Xiao Jingqing watching me from afar, and Xinjiahe stealing glances at Xiao Jingqing. Years later, I saw a jade pendant fall into the grass, and Xinjiahe's eyes filled with jealousy as she picked it up. In the chaos, Xinjiahe's ghostly voice echoed relentlessly, "Why? Why did he love Xinjiayan? Why didn't he even glance at me? I refuse to accept this. I will destroy them." I stared in shock at the images flooding my mind, nearly forgetting to breathe. So this was the truth, it was that simple. No hidden schemes. In my past life, Xiao Jingqing had restrained himself, adhering strictly to propriety. He never met me privately before our marriage, inadvertently giving Xinjiahe an opening. He never wronged me. His affection had always been concealed beneath the veneer of etiquette. Suddenly, I felt so grateful that in this life, he had pursued me. Thankfully, my eyes were closed. Otherwise, I'd probably be crying uncontrollably by now. After I stepped outside, Bai Yushu kept asking me, "What did you see?" I opened my mouth but couldn't form coherent words. Everything that had just happened felt like a dream, a beautiful dream beyond description. Bai Yushu stamped her foot and dashed inside, muttering, "Humph. I want to see it too. And I won't tell you what I saw either." She emerged in a panic moments later, her expression strange, her lower lip bitten until it was pale and bloodless. Ning Wudao asked us, "What exactly did you see?" Bai Yushu's face was deathly pale as she shook her head frantically. Seeing no answer, Ning Wudao entered the room himself. Soon, a low gasp echoed from within, followed by a sharp crack. Bai Yushu and I rushed in. Ning Wudao stood pale-faced in the room's center. The glass mirror lay shattered on the floor, broken into 7 or 8 pieces. "Third Prince, what's wrong?" After a long moment, he forced himself to steady his voice, "Nothing." His voice still trembled slightly, and panic nearly spilled from his eyes. Even seeing a ghost in the dead of night wouldn't have affected him like this. I glanced at the shards on the floor, then looked at Ning Wudao. What? What do we do now that the treasure mirror is broken?" Wan chuckled. "Shattered? Not to me. Now it feels complete." I gasped. "The old man's gone blind. Let's go." Before I could react, Ning Wudao seized my wrist and pulled me toward the door. His grip was tight, as if I might vanish the moment he loosened it. I blurted out, "What's wrong with you?" He remained silent until we were far outside. Then, his body trembling slightly, he asked me, "Jiayan, who am I?" Had his mind snapped? "You're Ning Wudao, the third prince." "Yes, I am Ning Wudao." He closed his eyes, as if trying to suppress something dreadful. "What's wrong? What did you see?" The words left my mouth before I could stop them. Why was I asking such a stupid question? Ning Wudao had already said what he saw must remain secret. Ning Wudao didn't answer. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead. After a long moment, he opened his eyes and said, "Yes, I am Ning Wudao, the third prince. All of this is real." His words caught me off guard. Why bring this up now? What's real? It's all real. He gritted his teeth, struggling to steady himself. Was it my imagination, or did he seem terrified, repeating "it's all real" over and over? What had he and Bai Yushu seen? A vague unease settled in my heart. I couldn't shake the feeling that something terribly, terribly bad was about to happen. That night, after seeing the truth in the treasure mirror, Xiao Jingqing scaled the wall into my home again. This time, I merely burrowed deeper into my blankets, not driving him away. He sat beside my bed and gently patted my shoulder. "Xinjiayan, why aren't you speaking?" I shrank further inward. "What do you want?" "Nothing." He seemed wistful. Did you enjoy yourself today? MHM. I'm not happy. Today my uncle forced me to choose a consort. My head feels like it's splitting. I don't want to marry anyone else. I only want to be with you. Oh. He looked surprised. Why aren't you cursing me today? I rolled over, peeking out with just my eyes showing. Did you come here just to get cursed at? You don't even feel like Xinjiang when you don't curse. I chuckled softly. Xiao Jingqing, I'll never scold you again. Don't, hearing you say that scares me. Xiao Jingqing, I mean it. I won't scold you anymore. Today, I saw something in the clear sky. Suddenly, I remembered Wanning's words, speaking it aloud would invite disaster. But could I not even tell Xiao Jingqing? He pressed me, what did you see? I hesitated, then held my tongue, kicking him instead, none of your business. Breaking into a woman's room at midnight, have you no shame? After a moment's shock, he exhaled in relief. Xinjiang cursing is still the most normal version of you. Though I couldn't speak of the mirror's events, I had to act. Like getting rid of Xinjiahe. Seeing her ugly face in the mirror made my blood run cold. Though she hadn't done anything yet in this life, her very nature was rotten. Keeping her around would only bring trouble. It was best to send her far away. The next day, I sought out Mother and discussed a plan. Using the pretext of arranging a marriage, we'd send Xinjiahe to her maternal grandmother's home in Hangzhou. Mother never cared for Xinjiahe, so she raised no objections. When Xinjiahe heard the news, she bit her lip, tears welling in her eyes. Are you and Mother driving me away? I laughed. What nonsense. We only want what's best for you. Without your stepmother, marrying young and finding a husband who cherishes you is far better than living in the capital, always looking over your shoulder. Even if you wish to send me away, you should at least ask Father first. I cut her off, rest assured. Father has 7 or 8 daughters. He won't remember who you are. She choked, struggling to hold back her tears. We've already sent word to Hangzhou. Pack your things and leave. I'll see you off myself. Though she seethed inwardly, she had no choice but to swallow her anger. Yes, thank you, sister. Thank you, Mother. 3 days later, Xinjiahe left the capital. I'd intended to put on a show of seeing her off, but the weather turned stiflingly hot. Heat rash broke out on my face, making me too embarrassed to show myself, so I had to abandon the idea. The rash wasn't severe. The physician I summoned said applying powdered pearl would hasten its healing. Somehow, word of this spread, and that very afternoon, Xiao Jingqing scaled the wall into my home. Xiao Jingqing, my house has a big gate, didn't you see it? Xiao Jingqing sighed helplessly, I'm used to it. He then pulled out an exquisite box and handed it to me. These are the finest pearls tribute by the Fan Kingdom. Take them. I opened it to look, then pushed it back. I can't accept them, they're too precious. What do you mean no? What's mine is yours. My face flushed crimson. What nonsense. I protested. How shameless. Now leave, quickly. Then I snatched the box back. Humph, it's mine. He chuckled softly. Why do you always shoo me away? I must depart for the Jiangnan region early tomorrow morning. Who knows when I'll return? Shouldn't you take this chance to look at me while you still can? I don't want to see you at all. Then will you come see me off tomorrow? No. Just then, the maid waiting by the door suddenly pushed it open. Miss, the 3rd prince is here to see you. Ah. She had never seen Xiao Jingqing before and was so startled she stumbled backward, tumbling to the floor. Xiao Jingqing maintained a proper demeanor in front of outsiders. He composed his expression and said solemnly, out. The maid glanced at me. Seeing my nod, she dashed out swiftly. No sooner had she left than Ning Wudao followed, carrying a box. He looked at Xiao Jingqing and me, smiling faintly. Seems I've arrived at an inopportune moment. That smile held an inexplicable chill. Ever since he'd seen the treasure mirror last time, he'd been acting strangely. His usual gentle demeanor had vanished, replaced by a deep, dark look in his eyes, as if he were weighed down by heavy thoughts. No, you've come at the perfect time. I forced a smile and asked him, 3rd prince, did you help me find pearls too? Yes. Ning Wudao shot Xiao Jingqing a glance before striding over. Xiao Jingqing eyed the box in his hand and grumbled, Shinjiayan, you already took my pearl. You can't take his too. Hearing this, Ning Wudao tightened his grip on the box without showing it. His expression remained calm, yet for some reason, I felt an icy chill radiating from him, almost frightening. I quickly interrupted Xiao Jingqing, why? What kind of logic is that? Xiao Jingqing looked at me and said, no reason. You can only take one person's. He fixed his gaze on me and demanded, Shinjiayan, whose do you want? Hearing this, Ning Wudao also lifted his eyes to meet mine. For the first time, I saw such intense possessiveness in his gaze. Fearing they might fight, I swallowed hard and asked, can't I have both? Both pairs of eyes turned icy. Just then, a clatter echoed from the doorway as countless pearls tumbled onto the floor. I looked up to find Baiyushu standing amidst the scattered pearls. Like Ning Wudao, Baiyushu had become strangely restless since last seeing the treasure mirror. She kept showing up at my house for no reason, she just left this morning and now she was back. She glanced at us and suddenly smiled, I've come at an awkward time. Had I known they were here, I wouldn't have come. I quickly pulled her over, what nonsense. Come, help me pound these pearls. You three, get down on your knees and pound them for me. That day's dispute ended with all four of us pounding until our hands blistered. When I saw them out, the household servants were stunned. Clearly, only 2 had entered, so how could 3 be leaving? But no one dared to ask. Before Ning Wudao left, he suddenly turned back and asked me, Jiayan, if the crown prince were to ask for your hand in marriage, would you accept? His question stunned me, and I stammered, I probably wouldn't. As if he had seen right through me, he gave a faint, bitter smile, I see. See what? Before I could ask more, he had already turned and walked away. That night, Baiyushu refused to go home, insisting on sleeping with me and hogging most of the quilt. I finally snapped, aren't the beds at your place softer than mine? She yawned, just experiencing the hardships of a poor family. Good grief. Our fathers earn the same salary, yet she acts like she's above me. Shinjiayan, you say your face is ruined, does that mean you can't get married? I rolled my eyes. I've got pimples, not leprosy. She snorted. Still ruined. No one will want you. Oh well, then the crown prince and third prince are all mine. Fine, fine, they're all yours. Just share some of your blanket with me. No way. Shinjiayan, are you going to see off Xiao Jingqing tomorrow? How did you know? Of course I know. Don't I know you? Wake me up tomorrow morning. I'll go with you. Baiyushu, why have you been following me everywhere lately? She rolled over, half asleep. Who's following you? I'm afraid you'll steal my man. Remember to wake me up tomorrow. I'm not waking you. The next morning, Baiyushu slept like a log. I crept out of bed, washed up in Bao Chan's room, and slipped away. Today's coachman was different. When Bao Chan asked, he chuckled, my uncle was the original driver, but he's fallen ill. I'm filling in for him. Rest assured, miss, today's ride will be smooth as silk, no jostling for you. His cheerful smile was quite endearing. Looking closer, he bore a striking resemblance to the old driver, 6 or 7 parts alike. I pulled out half a coin to tip him. After boarding the carriage, Bao Chan glanced back at the house with lingering concern. Miss, are we really not calling Miss Bai? She came by the day before yesterday and was furious when she couldn't find you. Did she hit you? Bao Chan touched her ear, not exactly, but she did tug my ear. She never seemed so eager to find you before. I don't know what's gotten into her lately. Never mind her. We'll go our own way. As we spoke, the carriage began its steady roll, so steady it lulled me into drowsiness. A while later, I stirred groggily and sensed something amiss. It was eerily quiet. Though morning, the road to the city gate shouldn't feel this still. I hastily lifted the curtain. The street scene was unfamiliar, just rows of dilapidated houses. No clue where we were. Where is this? Stop the carriage! The driver turned around and chuckled, Miss, we're taking a shortcut. His smile felt eerie. A sense of dread washed over me, and I snapped, I don't want any shortcuts. Stop now! The driver instantly dropped his smile and cracked his whip hard. The horse, stung by the pain, bolted forward. Bao Chan and I were thrown to the floor, our eyes spinning with dizziness. Bao Chan finally woke up, wiped away drool, and shouted, "Miss. It's an earthquake! An earthquake! Bao Chan, get a grip!" The wind whipped open the curtain. Beyond lay no houses, only trees growing thicker. In desperation, I gritted my teeth and shouted, "Jump!" Bao Chan, still drowsy, didn't leap. But I couldn't wait for her. Better for me to run back for help than both of us to be taken. I plunged out, rolled several times on the ground, scrambled up, and limped back toward the village. Fortunately, a galloping carriage couldn't stop easily. By the time he reacted, I'd already darted into the woods. My leg was likely broken, I stumbled and fell after every few steps. Just as I was about to break free, two figures suddenly blocked my path. I stared in shock. The one in plain white robes at the front was Xinjiahe, clutching a woodcutter's knife. Behind her stood a Taoist priest in black robes, wearing a conical hat. Xinjiahe? What was she doing here? And why was she with a Taoist priest? I froze, then stumbled backward as if seeing a ghost. Xinjiahe watched me, her smile twisted into a grimace. Still trying to run? Leaning against a tree, I asked her in shock, "You didn't leave?" "I left. Then I came back." She gripped the knife handle and moved closer. Because I refused to accept it. Staring at the blade's tip, I backed away again. "What do you want? What do you think I'm going to do?" Her face contorted. "I just don't understand, how come you could win his heart so easily? How come he never even glanced at me?" Such familiar words. This lifetime, she truly hadn't changed a bit. "Xinjiayan, I never wanted to kill you. I never did. You forced my hand." With that, she suddenly swung the knife at me. Her technique was clumsy, but each strike carried deadly force. The Taoist behind us seemed startled, gasping, "Don't kill her." But Xinjiahe was utterly mad, only knowing to chase and slash at me. If I didn't run, I'd be hacked to pieces. I turned and sprinted, screaming for help. But I hadn't gone far when my injured leg gave out, and I fell to the ground. Just as Xinjiahe was about to catch up, someone suddenly burst out from the side and yanked me up. "Xinjiayan, why didn't you call me this morning?" I froze. "Baiyuzhu? You rotten bastard. Told you to leave me behind. Karma's a bitch, huh?" She cursed as she grabbed my hand, pulling me through the bushes toward where she'd come from. But two unarmed people couldn't outrun Xinjiahe in a frenzy. She closed in fast. Fearing neither of us would survive, I shoved Baiyuzhu away. "Leave me! Run!" Her pupils contracted. "Xinjiayan, neither of you will escape." Xinjiahe gripped the knife handle with both hands and swung it down viciously. I had already closed my eyes, waiting for death. But just before the blade fell, my body was violently shoved, sending me crashing far away, dodging the strike. Immediately after, I heard a horrifying sound. Opening my eyes, I saw Baiyuzhu lying on the ground, blood gushing from her back, quickly soaking through her white gauze dress. My mind went blank for a few seconds, almost forgetting Xinjiahe's presence. "Baiyuzhu, what are you doing?" Her fingernails dug into the dirt. She opened her mouth but the pain left her speechless. "You two really are sisters to the core." Xinjiahe, blood-soaked and eyes bloodshot, raised her blade toward Baiyuzhu. "No! Xinjiahe, don't kill her. It's my fault, don't hurt her." Shivering uncontrollably, I crawled instinctively to shield Baiyuzhu with my body. Xinjiahe's knife hovered for a moment, but did not fall. I looked up and saw her face streaked with tears. "Xinjiayan, I'm your sister. You've never been kind to me, yet you're willing to risk your life to protect someone else. Your heart is so twisted." With that, she laughed bitterly at herself. "Never mind. I'm used to it by now. I'm just a concubine's daughter. No one protects me. If I want anything, I have to fight for it myself." No one will give it to me out of charity. The Taoist priest had followed them unnoticed. His voice was hoarse and cold, thick with warning. Have you finished your madness? I told you, no killing. Xinjiahe glanced back at him, wiped away tears with a look of reluctance, and said to me, Xinjiayan, I can spare you both. But you must promise me one thing. Hearing she might spare us, I nodded hastily. I agree. Name it. You must tell Xiao Jingqing yourself that you despise him. Make him give up hope. And never see him again. Though I'd expected this, my heart felt like it had been struck by a hammer, pounding wildly. But even then, he still wouldn't love you. I have my ways. Do you agree? I had no choice. I agree, as long as you release us. She shot me a cold glance, sheathed her blade, and retreated into the woods. After 2 steps, she turned back with a warning. Oh, and don't even think about trying anything. That blade is coated in a deadly poison. If you try any tricks, just watch Baiyushu slowly turn into a desiccated corpse. Fine. Only after confirming she was gone did I hoist Baiyushu onto my back and crawl on my knees toward the forest's edge. Lying weakly on my back, Baiyushu murmured, Xinjiayan, who asked you to meddle? I clenched my jaw to stifle the lump in my throat. Don't speak. She smiled faintly. I insist on speaking. Do you know what I saw in that treasure mirror that day? She gasped for breath, her words coming in fits and starts. I saw you get killed with a single sword strike. I was terrified. How could that be? Ever since I was little, my only dream was to compete with you for a lifetime, to fight you forever. If you died like that, who would I compete with? So I thought, if I stayed by your side, nothing bad would happen. Who knew you'd sneak off today? She paused to catch her breath again, her voice fading, but it doesn't matter. If I die now, it'll count as having competed with you my whole life. My chest ached, my vision blurred so I couldn't see the path ahead. I snapped, Shut up, Baiyushu. You won't die. Stop talking. She smiled, her words barely more than whispers. I won again this time. You cried, but I didn't. And your dress today wasn't as pretty as mine. Her hand fell limply to her side. I carried Baiyushu on my back for a long time until some beggars spotted us and took us to the clinic. When I woke, the beggars were gone. Baiyushu lay beside me, her lips blue, still unconscious. Upon hearing the news, the Shen and Bai families rushed to bring us back. That day, the eyes of everyone in both households were swollen from crying. The wound on Baiyushu's back wasn't fatal, but the poison was extremely potent. Within half a day, half her hair had turned white. Lord Bai summoned the finest physician in the capital. The doctor shook his head repeatedly, declaring it a rare poison against which he was powerless. To save Baiyushu, the only hope truly lay in Xinjiahe's antidote. But I couldn't tell anyone about this matter until Ning Wudao heard news of my injury and rushed over. Seeing him, I hastily dismissed everyone else and rambled incoherently about the day's events. My mind was in turmoil, filled with countless unanswered questions. I grabbed him and demanded, how did she return? Who's helping her? So many people were watching her. Ning Wudao kept soothing me, perhaps there are things you couldn't see or overlooked. Don't worry, we'll get to the bottom of this. And that Taoist priest, I never knew Xinjiahe knew any Taoist priest. He seemed to appear out of thin air. What was his background? Ning Wudao stiffened, his gaze darting away for a moment. Before I could notice, he regained his composure, clasping my hand and saying, Don't worry. We'll get to the bottom of everything. My heart pounded as I nodded, then thought better of it and pulled back the covers to get out of bed. They must still be in the city. I remember their faces. I'll sketch them and send someone to search discreetly. Jiayan, don't move about recklessly. Your leg is still injured. Ning Wudao tried to stop me, but my mind was consumed with catching Xinjiahe. I rushed to find paper and ink without a second thought. In the end, he could only support me to the desk and grind ink for me. He gazed at me for a long time before asking, Jiayan, what if we can't find them? I faltered. If we couldn't find them, perhaps I really would have to heed Xinjiahe's words and sever ties with Xiao Jingqing once and for all. But I squeezed the brush in my hand and lowered my head to continue drawing. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Ning Wudao took the portrait and searched the entire city for 2 days, yet found neither of them. Instead, he recovered Bao Chan, who had been missing for 2 days. She hadn't been harmed, just fainted from prolonged hunger. On the night she was found, I received a hairpin, Xinjiaohe's hairpin. This was urging me on. Ning Wudao held the hairpin, his gaze shrouded in the flickering candlelight. Xinjiaohe was elusive, aided by mysterious allies. Finding her was nearly impossible. Moreover, Miss Bai's condition couldn't wait. To save her now, perhaps I had no choice but to comply with Xinjiaohe's demands. I clasped Bai Yushu's icy hand, saying nothing. You must make a choice. If you keep delaying, Miss Bai might truly not survive. He looked at me, paused, then suddenly asked, Is His Royal Highness the Crown Prince more important to you than Miss Bai's life? Of course not. Then why have you been so indecisive? I choked, unable to meet his gaze, lowering my eyes to the unconscious Bai Yushu. After a moment's silence, I suddenly recalled how Ning Wudao had erased the scar on my hand. Grasping his arm urgently, I pleaded, You can perform magic, can't you? Please save Yushu, I beg you. He paused, slightly startled, then replied, I can alleviate her symptoms, but to truly counteract the poison, an antidote is still necessary. Even a few extra days would be precious. There's always hope of finding the antidote. He stared at me silently for a few breaths before speaking. Do you know saving her would cost me half my lifespan? I gasped. It would cost your life? Yes. Then could I trade mine for hers? No. Then yours? I don't want your life. Ning Wudao looked at me and said slowly, Jiayan, I can save her, but I have one condition. My heart sank instantly. I dreaded him setting conditions, for each time, I would lose something. Hesitantly, I asked, Speak. I want you to marry me. He fixed his gaze on me, his words ringing out with deliberate force. As the words fell, the previously clear night sky suddenly erupted with thunderclaps, as if exploding. He glanced out the window at the raging storm, his eyes brimming with an eerie intensity, as if defying something. Clenching his fist, he turned back to me, feigning calmness as he asked, Are you willing? This was the first time I'd seen his relentless side. Didn't you say before that I was just a friend to you? Before, I simply didn't want to fight. But now, I want to try. Looking at Ning Wudao before me, he seemed increasingly unfamiliar, as if he were no longer the same person I once knew. Yet I seemed to have no other choice. After a long pause, I nodded. Fine. As long as you're willing to save her, I'll do whatever you ask. Xiao Jingqing's face flashed before my eyes with the sound of the rain. My heart clenched, as if pierced by something. 2 months ago, I never would have imagined marrying Ning Wudao would become such a painful choice. I will make sure she survives. He laughed, as if a weight had been lifted. After that night, the weather never cleared again. For over half a month, torrential rain poured down as if the sky itself were collapsing. I wonder if the rains are this fierce in Jiangnan. By the time Xiao Jingqing returns, everything will be settled, I suppose. I dare not imagine how he will feel upon learning the truth. The more I think about it, the more agonizing it becomes. I can only force myself to forget him. Perhaps fearing complications, Ning Wudao rushed the wedding arrangements. Others whispered it seemed like a hasty marriage to ward off misfortune. My wedding gown was rushed by a dozen embroiderers. By the time it was finished, only 3 days remained until the ceremony. When I tried on the bodice, Ning Wudao gazed at me tenderly and said, It fits perfectly, Jiayan. You will be the most beautiful bride in the world. I couldn't muster a smile. Days of downpour had left the fabric musty, its scent clinging unpleasantly. After handing the gown to Bao Chan for safekeeping, I descended the stairs expressionless. Ning Wudao instinctively held an umbrella over me, their demeanor almost tenderly affectionate. Just as we were about to step outside, the street nearby suddenly echoed with the urgent clatter of hooves and the startled cries of passers-by. I glanced up and froze in place. He was supposed to be in Jiangnan. I never imagined he'd return so quickly. Xin Jiayan. He leapt from his horse, standing before me drenched, his eyes filled with urgency and disbelief. Yet when he opened his mouth, he seemed unsure how to ask. After a long pause, he finally managed, "This is fake, right? They're deceiving me, aren't they?" I looked into his eyes, wet with something indistinguishable, rain or tears. My heart felt stabbed again. Clutching my palm, I took a deep breath and said, "What are you talking about, Your Highness? I don't understand. Why did you marry him?" I couldn't meet his gaze, shifting my eyes to the water dripping from the eaves. "Naturally, because I love him. You've always known that." "No, you're lying. Look me in the eyes." He lunged forward, but Ning Wudao stepped in front of him, his eyes flashing with unmasked murderous intent. "Your Highness, please restrain yourself. Jiayan is now my betrothed." Xiao Jingqing faltered, freezing in place. After a few breaths of silence, he asked me, "Shin Jiayan, has something happened?" "No." "Then why didn't you wait for me?" His tone grew increasingly sorrowful. "It's because you still don't trust me, right? You still think I've wronged you." "It's not because of that," I blurted out. He looked at me, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. I suddenly realized I'd overreacted and quickly swallowed the rest of my words. "Anyway, it has nothing to do with that. I just dislike you. Who I marry has nothing to do with you. Don't come looking for me anymore." In the downpour, his gaze gradually dimmed. "You dislike me?" My heart ached terribly, yet I could only tell him in a cold tone, "I hate you intensely." He stared at me for a long time, gave a bitter smile, said nothing more, and turned to walk into the rain. His steps were slightly unsteady. This was the first time I had ever seen Xiao Jingqing lose his composure in front of others. For 3 days, Xiao Jingqing truly never sought me out again. The night before the wedding, I sat by Yushu's bedside, holding her hand as we drank. Ning Wudao had treated her with Taoist arts. Now, aside from her unconscious state, she was indistinguishable from any other person, even her once gray hair had turned black again. She'd even grown a bit prettier. It was infuriating. "Yushu, when you wake up, you really ought to kowtow to me. I sold myself to save you." "Wait, you saved me too. So how about this, you kowtow to me, and I'll kowtow to you. Deal?" Drunk and dizzy, I collapsed beside her. What about Xiao Jingqing? He must be utterly heartbroken. "Shinjiahe, where are you?" "I've already sent Xiao Jingqing away." "Give me the antidote." That night, Bao Chan carried me back. The next morning, while getting dressed, I was still half asleep, letting the maids and servants dress me like a doll. After days of torrential rain, the wedding day suddenly cleared up. Hard to say if that was a blessing or a curse. As the wedding procession arrived, I lifted my fan to shield my face and stepped out in small, measured strides. After just a few paces, I heard Bao Chan whisper under her breath, "What's wrong with the sun?" Hearing this, I lifted my head and squinted at the sky. The sun seemed to be missing a corner. Could this be what the books call a solar eclipse? Not just me, but many others looked up, murmuring among themselves. Finally, someone remembered what day it was and hurriedly urged, "The bride must depart." I lowered my head in a daze, shielding my face once more as I walked out. For some reason, an inexplicable chill ran down my spine. Stepping outside, I lowered my fan slightly and glanced up. Ning Wudao, clad in bright red wedding robes, sat atop his horse. Spotting me, a hint of amusement flickered in his eyes. The sky grew dimmer. Amidst the crowd, a man murmured, "Oh dear, the sun's been bitten off in such a big chunk. This. Could it be inauspicious?" Ning Wudao's expression abruptly hardened. He glanced skyward, his grip on the reins tightening involuntarily. He turned to the speaker and barked, "What nonsense! Drag him away!" His sudden fury startled everyone, who bowed their heads in silence. He dismounted and approached me, forcing himself to steady his voice. "My lady, let us go." I looked at his outstretched hand, hesitated, and did not take it. He seemed suddenly afraid. "What is it?" "Nothing." I shook my head and walked expressionlessly toward the bridal sedan chair. The man who had spoken out of turn was being held down, screaming incessantly. I couldn't help but glance sideways. That glance sent a chill down my spine. For in the crowd of onlookers, I saw him, the Taoist priest. He had appeared. Our eyes met for a moment before he turned and fled. Stop! My heart pounded like a drum. I tossed aside my fan and gave chase. Bao Chan cried out urgently, "Miss! Miss!" The crowd instantly descended into chaos. Ning Wudao hurried after me, shouting, "Jiayan!" I paid no heed to the chaos behind me, focused only on chasing that Taoist priest. Xinjiahe's medicine must have come from him. If I caught him, I'd have the antidote. After running just a few steps, Ning Wudao quickly caught up, grabbing my hand and demanding, "What's wrong, Jiayan?" I gasped, "That Taoist. I saw him." His hand froze at my words. How could that be? He seemed so strange. Suspicion welled up inside me. I shoved him away and sprinted toward the alley where the Taoist had vanished. Whether it was the deepening twilight or the alley's darkness, the Taoist disappeared the moment he entered. I searched back and forth, but couldn't find him anywhere. Ning Wudao caught up, grabbed my hand, and said, "Let's go back, Jiayan. You must have seen wrong. How could that Taoist?" He paused, swallowed the rest of his words, and rephrased, "How could that Taoist have come out on his own?" Suddenly, a cold laugh echoed from the deep alley, "Not so fast." That voice, it was Xiao Jingqing. Turning to look, I saw him emerge from the corner, his gaze fixed on Ning Wudao. "Third brother," he said, "you were about to say that priest couldn't possibly still be alive, correct?" Ning Wudao's grip suddenly loosened. "What does your highness mean by this?" "What do I mean?" Xiao Jingqing waved his hand, and several black-clad men escorted the priest out. The Taoist, spotting Ning Wudao, hurriedly cried out, "Your Royal Highness." This was all orchestrated by the third prince. He ordered me to bring Xinjiahe back and deceive her into believing I possessed immortal arts. He promised that if she could sever all ties between Miss Xin and your Royal Highness, I would perform a ritual to make her the crown princess. So this Taoist was acting on Ning Wudao's orders? I stared at Ning Wudao in shock. "Shut your mouth! How dare you slander imperial kin!" Panic flashed in Ning Wudao's eyes as he lunged forward, poised to strangle the man. Xiao Jingqing drew his sword to block, his expression already carrying the weight of imperial authority. "Third brother, such urgency, could it be he spoke the truth?" Ning Wudao paled. I clenched my fist and demanded, "Is what he said true? Did you orchestrate all this?" His body trembled slightly as he shook his head. "No, Jiayan. I didn't do such a thing. Let's go back and marry, okay?" As he spoke, a strange wind stirred the air, and the sky darkened considerably, the sun now missing a large portion. Xiao Jingqing retorted, "You didn't? Then perhaps we should revisit the female corpse in your backyard pond?" "How could you? So you've been investigating me all these days?" Ning Wudao closed his eyes in despair. I couldn't believe it. "Why aren't you speaking?" He shook his head. "I have nothing left to say." "So why? Why?" I couldn't understand, how could the gentle, kind Ning Wudao do such a thing? He gave a bitter laugh. "Because I love you. Because I wanted to fight for us. Even if heaven itself forbids us, I still wanted to fight." His silver hair fluttered in the wind. Those eyes that once captivated me now bore white, cracking fissures. Only then did I realize, the being before me was a monster. The next instant, the world shifted violently. The earth shook, mountains trembled. His eyes widened in terror, "Watch out." As if the gods themselves were enraged, every building collapsed in that moment. When faced with immense disaster, the first reaction is numbness. I heard the deafening roar, my mind going blank. Xiao Jingqing screamed, "Xinjiayan." At the last possible moment, Ning Wudao scooped me up and leapt into the air. I watched Xiao Jingqing charge toward me, only to be struck down by a falling beam. Nearly every building in the capital lay in ruins. Some had split open with gaps several meters wide. Survivors scrambled frantically, some half buried in the rubble, crying for help. Chaos erupted, dust swirling everywhere. The moment we landed, my mind went blank for an instant. Then, without a second thought, I rushed toward Xiao Jingqing. He lay nearly immobilized, crushed beneath the debris. After coughing a few times, he finally grabbed my hand and asked, Xin Jiayan, are you okay? I'm fine. My hands trembled as I tried to shift the bricks and wood off him. But the slightest pressure sent waves of pain through him, nearly knocking him unconscious. Xiao Jingqing, are you all right? No, not well. He coughed up a mouthful of blood. Helpless, I stared at his pale face, my vision blurring instantly. Xiao Jingqing, why did you come? I was so cruel to you. He shook his head. I told you, this lifetime, you can't drive me away. Xin Jiayan, when you said you hated me that day, was that your true feelings? No. I don't hate you at all, Xiao Jingqing. I know the truth now, you never harmed me. It was all Xinjiahe's doing. I saw everything. Good. Xiao Jingqing, hang on. Once you're better, we'll get married, okay? Yes, once I'm better, we'll marry. He smiled contentedly. Xin Jiayan, don't cry. You look much prettier when you smile. As he spoke, he raised his hand to wipe my face, but only then realized his palm was half gone. The remaining part was being blown away like sand by the wind. I reached out to grab it, but my hand closed around nothing. He seemed to want to say something, but before the words could leave his lips, his entire body collapsed, turning into a pile of scattered sand. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Kneeling on the ground, I couldn't utter a single sound for a long time. Screams filled my ears. Looking up, I saw countless people, just like Xiao Jingqing, dissolving into sand and vanishing. The entire world was collapsing. Everything felt utterly unreal. The sky grew darker and darker, the sun reduced to a mere ring. I watched as people vanished one by one, until the entire world was left with only Ning Wudao and me. Jiayan. He grabbed my arm, trying to pull me up. I clutched him back. Did you do this? This is a dream, right? They're not dead, are they? It wasn't me. Then. Is this what your master meant by defying heaven and inviting disaster? He surveyed the desolate, ruined surroundings, his gaze pained as he met mine. I'm sorry. This wasn't what I wanted either. Suddenly, I felt drained, unable to support my body. I collapsed to the ground. But why? Why were all the people I cared about gone, leaving only me alive? He paused, then asked in a trembling voice, I'm still alive. Am I not someone you care about? In that moment, I choked up, unable to speak. Jiayan, if Xiao Jingqing and I competed fairly, would you choose me? He waited for an answer, but none came. Instead, he laughed, a laugh filled with utter despair. I understood. Jiayan, don't cry. They'll all come back to life. Hope flared within me. What? He looked at me, his eyes holding a shimmer of broken light. Do you remember the Taihua jade the crown prince lost? It was gifted by immortals, capable of reversing time. The Taihua jade? Really? Where is it? Oh right, it fell into the lake. I'll go retrieve it. There's no need to search. Why? Because it's far away in the heavens, yet close at hand. He pointed at himself, smiling bitterly. I am the soul of that Taihua jade. In my past life, witnessing you and the crown prince murdered by treacherous men, pity stirred within me. I guided both of you to rebirth, resolving the misunderstanding. Yet I never imagined I myself would fall into the mortal realm, forgetting everything and forging a bond with you. I gazed at him, a flash of realization striking my mind. Indeed, in my past life, I never knew of a third prince. At the spring banquet of that past life, I never saw any silver-haired man, because he never existed. Ning Wudao knelt on one knee, scooping up a handful of sand. Watching it scattered by the wind, he murmured distractedly, I never sought to compete. I always regarded Xiao Jingqing as my elder brother. It wasn't until that day, gazing into the mirror, that I saw my true form and my memories returned. I realized I was but a wisp of jade spirit, unworthy even of loving another. The more I realized this, the more I resented it, and slowly, malice began to grow within me. Surveying the devastation around him, he said with self-mockery, but in the end, I could never defy the will of heaven. Jiayan, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. The wind picked up, and a white light began to swirl around him, his form gradually fading into nothingness. My feelings were too complex to put into words. Watching him slowly disappear, I couldn't speak. Jiayan, I'll take you to him. When I awoke, thick smoke filled my vision. It seemed this time, I had reborn before being burned to death. Someone rushed in wrapped in a wet quilt, straining to move the wood crushing me. Shin Jiayan. It was him. I smiled as he lifted me, escaping the inferno. Many people rushed over, dousing us with water. Xiao Jingqing, you're here. I'm here. Xiao Jingqing held me, his hair dripping wet, his eyes wet too. Shin Jiayan, this time I finally didn't come too late. Suddenly, sobbing erupted nearby. I turned to see it was Lady Bai. Where's Yushu? Has anyone seen Yushu? I struggled to lift my head and asked, is Bai Yushu here? Madam Bai cried urgently, Yushu saw smoke rising from your house and ran over with a bucket. Where is she? I scanned the area and urgently directed the maids and servants, search. Quickly, search. Found her. Found her. Several servants carried out a figure blackened by smoke. Madam Bai was about to cry out, but a servant quickly interjected, she's not dead. Not dead. Just blackened by smoke. I breathed a sigh of relief. Madam Bai rushed over, calling, Yushu. Yushu. It was useless. Bao Chan ran over, splashed a ladle of water on her face, and only then did she cough once and slowly open her eyes. The moment she awoke, Bai Yushu burst into tears, Mother. Shin Jiayan is dead. Mother. Mother. Madam Bai hurriedly said, don't cry. She's not dead. She's not dead. She's dead. I saw it. Before I could reach her, she was buried. Mother, Shin Jiayan is dead. She's dead. Her wails were heart-rending, and she couldn't hear a word. Madam Bai was nearly driven to desperation. She slapped her across the face, then pointed at me and demanded, see for yourself if she's dead. Stunned by the blow, Bai Yushu turned her head, dazed. She saw me, froze for a moment, then exhaled in relief. Her body went limp, and she fainted again. Where's Shin Jiahe? I demanded urgently. The courtyard fell silent. My mother wiped her eyes and looked toward a corner. On the door panel lay a charred corpse, its hand still clutching a jade pendant broken clean in two. Because of this fire, my marriage to Xiao Jingqing was postponed by a month. On the wedding day, Bai Yushu wept even more bitterly than my mother. Madam Bai jabbed her impatiently, scolding, what are you crying for? It's not your daughter getting married. Bai Yushu sobbed even harder. Why can't I cry? Shin Jiayan's married into a high-ranking family, and I'm still unattached. Wah! She'll be crown princess soon, and I'll have to kneel and bow to her. It's infuriating. Enough, enough. She'll be crown princess, you'll never even see her. Hearing this, Bai Yushu wept even harder. Her wailing grew so loud that Lady Bai hastily covered her mouth. Xiao Jingqing escorted me back to the Eastern Palace. That night, he handed me the jade pendant, now fully repaired. Its luster was gone, making it indistinguishable from an ordinary piece of jade. I examined it from every angle, my thoughts drifting to Ning Wudao. It felt like a haze. Had any of that truly happened? Tell me, I murmured, if this jade shatters, where would Ning Wudao go? Xiao Jingqing pondered for a moment. That name sounds familiar. Who is Ning Wudao? You've forgotten? I gasped in shock. Yes, what was I saying? Who is Ning Wudao? Outside the crimson canopy, the immortal of Taihua tucked away his whisk, cleared his throat, and said to the silver-haired man behind him, let's go. We can't watch any further. Thank you. Shall I do the same for you? No need. Didn't you say? She is my tribulation. If I forget her, how can I count it as having endured the ordeal? True. Let's go. After taking a few steps, the silver-haired man suddenly halted. He turned to gaze at the crimson canopy, murmured an incantation, and channeled a beam of golden light into it. What was that? A touch of fortune. The silver-haired man looked ahead, his expression softening into a gentle smile. She will live a long life, free from worry. The end.